11-year-old Christopher Aaron Morris was found dead in a dishwasher on a military base in Texas. But the coverage of this case is seriously unsettling. Christopher Aaron Morris was born on March 3, 1989, in Del Rio, Texas. He moved into a house in the Shepherd Air Force Base in Wichita County, where he would live until his death at age 11. By all accounts, he was well liked by his peers at Tower Elementary School, although some uncorroborated statements on a blog post online, which we will get to later, say he was being harassed by older students at some point. September 25th was in the middle of fall break, so all the kids in the county were at home from school. In the morning, Christopher's family went out for their daily routines, leaving Christopher at home alone. At around midday, Christopher's father Carl returned to find Christopher missing. He allegedly checked Christopher's bedroom where he found dishwasher racks placed haphazardly on his bed, prompting him to check the dishwasher. Inside, instead of the dishwasher racks, was the wet, naked, and beaten body of Christopher. He had gone through a full cycle of the dishwasher, washing away any potential fingerprints or other forms of DNA that could have helped investigators determine what exactly happened to Christopher. From here, the case gets a little more dubious. Despite the surreal circumstances of the death, the case was never publicly conclusively determined to be a murder. Details about the investigation are sparse, and those that are easily available are prone to sensationalism. The autopsy results were never made publicly available. However, word along the grapevine made it seem like the autopsy results were ultimately unreliable anyway, attributing the cause of death solely to injuries sustained while inside the running dishwasher. A deliberation made after numerous delays and inconsistencies with pathologists. Allegedly, the clothes Christopher was wearing that day were never recovered, alongside his bed sheets. The family never appeared to be suspects. The father was busy instructing on the base before he came home. However, this is where even the most dubious of reliable information ends. From here, things get seriously weird. Now, you would expect the brutal and unusual death of a child would be highly covered news. However, this was not the case. Christopher's death was brought to my attention by a Reddit post from a few years ago, which cited a single link as its source, a link to an ancient blogspot page. The blog discussed child abuse cases in North Carolina with an emphasis on the overrepresentation of child abuse deaths on military bases in the state, somewhat related to the death of Christopher. The comments of the blog post seem to think so. The first comment begins the discussion, with the poster stating that the blog post reminded them of a young boy from the Shepherd Air Force Base who was sexually assaulted, tortured, murdered, and ran through the dishwasher. The characterization of his death as a sexual assault and torture case is definitely far away from any other publicly available descriptions of the case. However, this sets the tone for the flood of unsettling comments to follow. Despite the unspecific nature of the blog post, virtually every single comment seemed to come from someone personally familiar with the Christopher Morris case. The first time I read these, there was something deeply off-putting about them. It's a bit hard to describe, but the unusual repetitive phrasing, the inclusion of random specific details, the unnaturally emotional tone, the time-stamping and the phone numbers and email addresses all scream weird. Maybe not necessarily weird in a vacuum, but given the context of the case being incredibly vague and the website being hardly related, it's definitely unusual. That is essentially where the details of the case end, with an unrelated blog post full of eerie comments from a lot of people claiming to be personally familiar with Christopher and his family. Christopher's obituary was found in a September 30th, 2000 issue of the Oklahoma newspaper Tulsa World, dispelling rumors that the death was a hoax. However, the obituary was painfully nondescript and doesn't answer any questions beyond the existence of Christopher. One would have to assume that, per the nature of the death on a military base, the military would have been adamant in hiding the case from the public eye. The news article from the Shepherd Senator echoes this sentiment, with the advice from the author very much along the lines of, don't worry about it too much. But surely, with all of the activism from family and friends in the comments of this blog post, there would be more information out there. Who killed Christopher? Was it even a murder? Why has a death of this nature been scrubbed from the internet? Why are so many people claiming to know the case personally despite its minimal coverage? And what is up with this strange blog and comments? This comes from the subreddit Unresolved Mysteries by XITTYY.